Tim Burton's 1988 box office hit Beetlejuice begins with happy couple, Barbara and Adam Matlin, preparing for a much-needed staycation. Barbara and Adam meet their untimely demise when a dog jumps in front of their car on their way back from town. In the next scene, the Matlins come back into their house soaking wet, thinking they're still alive. When Adam steps back outside, he enters a strange hellscape, nearly getting eaten by a giant sandworm, before Barbara yanks him back into the house. When Barbara shows Adam they no longer possess reflections, the handbook for the recently deceased magically appears, as if to help acclimate them to the afterlife.
This book reads like stereo instructions. Listen to this. Geographical and temporal perimeters. Functional perimeters vary from manifestation to manifestation.
When Adam yells at Jane, the real estate agent, from the window, he and Barbara realize the living can no longer hear or see them. In the next scene, Barbara and Adam's quiet afterlife is disturbed by the wealthy Charles Dietz and his family. A teenage girl named Lydia, played by young Winona Ryder, Delia Dietz, Lydia's tortured artist socialite stepmother, and Delia's flamboyant interior designer Otho. The Matlins try to spook the new residents out of their house, but the Dietzes remain oblivious to their attempts. When the new residents start gutting the house, the Matlins find Beetlejuice's flyer. Lydia goes outside to take pictures, and she notices the Matlins staring out the attic window. The Matlins use the handbook for the recently deceased to create a door that leads to a hellish waiting room, where Barbara and Adam get in line to meet with their afterlife caseworker Juno. Lydia finds her way into the attic and starts paging through the handbook for the recently deceased. Juno tells Adam and Barbara to haunt the Dietzes if they want them gone, emphasizing that they will find everything they need to know in the handbook for the recently deceased. The Matlins don Delia's designer sheets late at night in a failed attempt to scare Lydia's parents. Lydia snaps some Polaroids, thinking all the ghoulish noise is coming from Delia and her father. When Lydia looks at the Polaroids, she realizes it's the ghosts haunting the attic. Adam and Barbara ask her why it is she can see them but nobody else can. The Matlins go through with summoning Beetlejuice and are immediately transported to Adam's model of their town in the attic, where Beetlejuice has been hiding out. The Matlins want to know his qualifications.
Through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times.
Beetlejuice tries his hardest to get them to hire him, but Barbara says home 3 times, transporting them back to the attic, leaving Beetlejuice in the dust. During the Dietz's dinner party, the Matlins possess Delia's dinner guests with the music of Harry Belafonte, to the delight of the guests and to the dismay of the Matlins. When their guests hear the ghosts don't want to come back down, they leave. Delia, Otho, and Charles march up to the attic to demand the ghosts show themselves. On his way out, Otho pockets the handbook for the recently deceased. Beetlejuice shapeshifts into a giant rattlesnake, nearly killing poor Lydia and scaring the ever-loving shit out of the adults.
We come for your daughter, Chuck.
Barbara calls out Beetlejuice 3 times, casting him back to the miniature city in the attic. Juno builds a sleazy afterlife strip club to distract Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Adam, let's move.
Adam, why did you build that?
I didn't.
Juno tasks Adam and Barbara with getting the Dietzes out of their house. Charles plans another dinner party to impress Maxie Dean.
You've got to figure out a way to sell these ghosts. I can only do so much.
What are you going to do about them? Viciously rearrange their environment?
I know just as much about the supernatural as I do about interior design.
Beetlejuice tries to get Lydia to say his name 3 times, but Barbara returns to the attic before she has a chance. Otho uses the book for the recently deceased to age Adam and Barbara into the living dead. Lydia pleads with Beetlejuice to help them. Beetlejuice agrees only if Lydia agrees to marry him. The Matlins try to stop the wedding, but Beetlejuice manages to shut them down. Barbara rides a sandworm from Saturn back into the house, and the sandworm devours Beetlejuice. At the end of the movie, Lydia and her family coexist happily with the Matlins, while Beetlejuice hangs out in the hellish afterlife waiting room, where he gets his head shrunk for trying to cut in line.